listen, it's all about me right now. All right, everybody look up here. Now, before we get started, there is something I have to announce. I think we should all wish a certain individual in this room a happy birthday. Stan, happy birthday. I don't know what's in your coffee, but I want to make sure I get some of that, all right? So, we're going to, I want to introduce Darren, who is over here. He's the architect, or works for the architectural firm, and is going to give the presentation. And then you've got Angela and you've got Russell, who are part of LifeSpace and LifeSpace Development. Now, I just want to make sure everybody understands clearly. This is a 30,000 foot look at what we're going through to purchase this property. All right? So, we haven't purchased it yet, but these are the things that we're going to be going through in order to facilitate that. Okay? And then once that's done, then the real fun begins. Alrighty? So, without any further ado, and by the way, he is famous for being a phenomenal speaker. He'll make you laugh, he'll make you cry, all right? Inspirational. Did I set you? You told me to say that. Oh, okay. Well, we'll try not to put you to sleep. How's that sound? Okay? So, Russell, all yours.
He makes it sound like this is a lecture or something. I just wanted to give a little preface. He kind of addressed it, but this is an exercise that we went through as part of the purchase. So we've got a property that's zoned for commercial. We want to make sure the county is okay with it being a more residential use. So what we've shown is primarily villas, it is villas, and we want to get that through the process and say, yeah, have the county say, yeah, that's okay. So once we got it in there, it just goes, and then we have to wrap it up so we can finish our due diligence and purchase the property. We want to bring it to you right now because there's going to be hearings over the next month or so, and it'll be out in the public, and we want you guys to know ahead of time. So that's primarily why we're reviewing this. There is going to be a revisiting of the project in more detail and the implications of it. You know, if we fill this parcel with villas, it's going to have impacts in terms of common areas and amenities and dining and things like that that we'll have to go back and look at in more detail in the future. But that's just wanted to give sort of the parameters of what Darren's going to present this morning to you. So, Darren?
Thank you, Russell. So my name is Darren Asdell. I'm with Pie Architects, and many of you I already know. So what we're going to present here is not pretty pictures. So I normally get to do that, but today we just have a few slides just talking about the process that we're going through right now. And like Russell said, this is a land purchase prospect, and it's a commercial property. The opportunity aligns with this community in the sense that it gives the community a presence. We don't have any presence out on Wachovia Springs, and the goal here would be is to use this as an opportunity to see what's possible. So I'm going to take you through 4 steps here, pretty much. That's first talking about the development plan, which is mostly about going through the county, getting approvals, seeing what we can do, and then pushing the limits here and there to see what's possible, what we could do. And that's already emerged with some really good items that I think aligns with this community that we would not have known about had we not sat down with the county and had that discussion. So we've done a preliminary layout, which is what you're going to see. And again, it's very preliminary. It's a talking point with the county and with the community to see what, again, might be possible. And then we're going to give you that current status of that process and then the next steps. So this is small text. Apologize for that, but this is, the goal here. I'll read out this is to purchase this adjacent commercial property. Most of you know this as a call center, places where there's a lot of cars that come in and they call and harass us on the phone and and telemarketing, and then they all go home at the end of the day all at once. So there's a lot of traffic there, or had been historically. It's had other uses, and that office park next to it has similar types of uses. So the goal would be is to convert this to a residential use. At this point, we're looking at single-story homes, really to expand resident independent living options. And then again, we wanted to gain the access to Kivia Springs Road for the community's benefit. And I'll orient you in a second here because this map is all about the approvals and what's already aligned with this community. And you can kind of see we have a mosaic in this community already of uses. So this kind of gives you a better reference point. Let me see if I can get a pointer up here. So there we go. So we're in this building here currently, and this is the new assisted living building here, and then this property, as you can see, is the only piece that we have that could connect us back to Kivia Springs Boulevard to give us that presence. The layout here, again, is just about what density might fit there if it were single-family homes. But you can, if you have all driven past that property, you'll know it's all asphalt. I mean, there's a giant building in the middle of it, and it's surrounded by asphalt. There's literally, it's void of any trees, except at the peripheral, which we would keep. There's some nicer oaks in there, and then there's a drainage area here that exists off to the side, and that is part of the master retention for this entire area, and it drains across this property underground, so there's a good bit of infrastructure there. And so we're going through that entire process of what's underground, what's there, what could be built there, and then move from there. So right now we're in this planning and zoning approval process. Again, getting it from commercial use to residential use. We're lowering the amount of traffic that you would have. We're lowering the impact on the environment. And the idea is to make this much more green, bring back a lot of green. So we've got support of the local planning authority and zoning. They like this idea. They like this being more residential. So we're finalizing the purchase of the property. That's a negotiation. It's ongoing continually. And then we prepare drawings in the next stage here for a site plan submittal. And that would be a whole nother level of authority and approval that we would have to go through. And these take, months to years on some projects. So this would be, an ongoing process. And with that, we will take questions. Yes, ma'am.
Can you go back to the site plan?
Yeah.
And point
All right.
where the road would come off of Ohio Springs Road and into the property.
Okay, very good. Great question. So there's an existing road right here, cut in, and there's a restaurant here, and then there's an office building behind it. And this road actually has rights to this property. So this is what we call a shared access. And then, right now we've been discussing with the county about not putting that on the corner, but it would have to stay because the restaurant's there and then there's an office building and so forth. But the plan would be could this be a cut right here where it just starts to fold out there? And for those of you who've driven past the housing project here, residential project here, there's a turn lane there. So the goal here would be to connect those two turn lanes and then create a little bit of an acceleration lane as well, but to provide enough ease there. And then this distance from the edge of the curve in is critical because we want to make sure there's enough space there for cars to pull off the road and not be rushed through any type of gated entry. So that's the process and that's the location.
Then I see it continues on to a roundabout.
It could. Again, these are diagrammatic at this point, but the goal would be to connect, smaller neighborhoods together, and then have a connectivity point that brings this entire community, together.
So it might connect with where we currently see the big white construction fence that hides everything to the little current road, which I call the hairpin. Hairpin. So we're coming into the end of the hairpin. And I know this is all tentative and will change 1,000 times, but I'm just trying to have a picture thought is right now, is where that might connect to our current roads.
Yeah,
That's a great.
that's a good, that's a good observation, and again, you're right. This is strictly from a planning perspective, so it, been like I used to. Just remember, it is gonna change, all right? You know, when the time comes where we actually make the purchase, which is not gonna be in years. It's gonna, I just wanted to get that clear, all right? Which, we hope to happen fairly
Hopefully in October.
in October, okay. I didn't wanna say that, I wanted you to say that. So remember, Russell said October, all right? It wasn't me. Good enough. Any other questions?
So,
It looks like there would be a lot of traffic going right through the middle of where all the homes are. From Quiet, they're going up through all the homes. The access road, yeah, right there.
yeah, you're saying up, right up through here, right? And again, this may not be the final path, we need to analyze that much more, but we should think, and we are thinking too, about what's that impact? How many cars is that now? You know, most communities of this size, and actually most communities much smaller than this, have 2 entrances. And the reason for that is safety. You know, if there's an accident up here at this corner, or a sinkhole, whatever happens here, how do we get out? How do emergency vehicles get in? You know, so having a second means of egress that addresses another arterial road is pretty critical. And this is actually required now for new developments.
We're still gonna have the other entrance. So if I'm, for instance, in one of the villas over here, well, the odds are I'm gonna come in through that, all right? So that's a good call out.
Yeah, and again, the impact there, you know, I'm showing roughly, you know, anywhere around 40 or so single-family homes. So that's not a tremendous, you know, impact in terms of increases. Okay, yeah.
All right, one of the other, oh, no, go ahead, Alex.
From the time of closing, what is a reasonable period of time to actually have a permit in hand? In Seminole County as it exists today?
For a site plan,
Correct.
a reasonable time once that approval's in place is normally less than 6 months. And that's assuming we don't have environmental issues or anything like that that have been uncovered. At this point, due diligence has been done and done well, and so we don't foresee any issues. But traditionally, it takes about 6 months for site plan approval.
But site plan approval is not building permit.
Yeah, that's not building,
Then you
right?
got a building permit after that, so from beginning to when you can put a shovel in the ground, what's
So we, you know, that is about a year. Yeah, that is about a year. So, and again, that's all dependent upon staffing levels at the county. We ran through that with this project out here, you know, whereas that's on schedule, we had to anticipate that we would be in a process for a long period of time because of the lack of personnel at the county level prepared to review our project. So we've got a number of projects into the county, and we can judge roughly what it is right now. We don't know what it's like in 6 to 12 months.
So the headline here is, if you have friends in the county, all right?
Call them.
Give them a call, all right?
Sir, Sam?
You envision 2-man, 24-hour/7 gates then?
I'm not necessarily, we haven't gotten into that finite analysis, but I can tell you some similar communities usually have one gate manned and the other gate automated. And that's really for residents only. That way, you know, you move all the commercial trucks or visitors or anything through the manned gate, and then the residents would typically use, you know, another gate. But that's to be determined.
Go ahead.
How many homes are you talking about, individual homes or villas or?
Yeah, to be villas, yeah. Villas are very popular, very similar to what we have now, you know, in this portion. You know, these newer villas up here that are duplex type villas, those are very popular. I would say something along those lines. Again, we haven't done all the market studies to develop everything.
How many?
40, 42, something along those lines.
Dwelling units or buildings, or duplex.
There's E units,
So, are you saying 80,
no, 40
20 buildings?
dwelling units,
Or-
yeah.
And that's, and again, I want clarity, that's an approximation,
Oh,
all
of
right?
course.
So, yeah, so, I seriously doubt it would go up, but it could go down,
Yeah, oh, yes.
all right? So I just wanna be clear on that.
How much property is that you're thinking get behind?
How many acres?
Yes,
Seven.
and what's the approximate cost, or, you know, what is it listed for?
Yeah, honestly, I don't have a clue, and I don't know if we can even divulge that in negotiations.
Somebody needs to-
None of this point.
Okay, all right. I could tell you, but then you know what we have to do to you. All right, no. During the negotiations, so forth, we can't divulge that.
Jim, there's no way to salvage the building for any use of anything that would be
Well,
torn down?
if we salvage the building, we wouldn't be able to build homes.
That's true.
All right, so we want to build homes. All right, and this isn't, I mean, from looking at it from a Village on the Green perspective, this is huge. All right, you know, you look at the potential that we have here, and nobody can compete with us. You look at the land, you look at the space, all right, and so forth. This really helps to create a game changer, especially with villas, and villas being so much in demand these days, so. That was my spiel. So,
I particularly like that we don't sacrifice any green space by doing this.
that, actually, we're creating
Yeah.
green space by doing this, that's a good point. Anybody else?
Would you comment on the public restaurant? You talked about a restaurant.
No, there's an existing restaurant right there.
Was it Rita's or?
Rita's.
It's over here.
Plan to build a restaurant
A
for
steakhouse.
public use.
That potentially could happen. Remember, this is strictly to get the land purchase done. What you see here is going to change, all right? Once we're able to get the deal cut. Part of that discussion has been having another food and beverage or another culinary venue, all right?
Are you working with any local engineers or attorneys in this process?
Oh, yes, lots. Yeah, there's a civil engineer, environmental engineers, geotechnical engineers. I mean, there's a lot of, and then there's attorneys for easements, attorneys for land purchase, and then there's brokers. So there's quite a group of people involved. Normally, a lot of this happens without the architects, but I want to make a real strong point here is LifeSpace is committed to a long-term master plan for this community in making sure that when we do things, we're not piecemealing it. So we were brought in early enough in this process to where we could say, hey, what could happen here, and how does this fit into our overall plan as a community? And that we can commend this group and its leadership for doing, and that's why I'm involved now.
Yeah, and, and as for instance, you look at our, call it sports complex, call it activities complex. Now, we're working with the architects to make sure that that ties into the master plan, all right? So as we move forward, we're not piecemealing it and everything is harmonious, all right, in design.
And that's above ground and below ground, because we have aging infrastructure, and we're identifying that, finding that, and a lot of what you're seeing out here now doesn't seem like we've gone vertical. We're about to. We're about a week and a half away here from going vertical in a big
I
way.
think Monday,
Yeah, the steel's here.
steel is here, you're gonna start seeing them going vertical, yeah.
But there was a lot of underground work done there because there's some older infrastructure, that needed to be replaced, and we anticipated that, and as we dug into it, we're like, yes, that does need to be replaced, and then it comes out and gets redone. We're making it much more accessible, from for wheelchairs, walkers, golf carts, everything is more accessible, cars, and that drainage is really critical. So they spend a lot of time moving things around and making sure we've got all that right. And that's really the balance of my day, is checking some of that work too, making sure we're on track. So,
Yeah, that is huge.
yes.
So, we don't need any flooding, that's for darn sure.
Right.
What's the effect of 80 more people living here to our small gym and our dining and.
That's a great question. And I like the fact you're saying 80 people, all right? That's good. That means we're just gonna sell everything to couples. Part of the planning process is taking that into consideration. You know, how I spoke to the potential of the restaurant. Well, it's also looking at the expansion or creation of a different facility for fitness, all right, and these different things. So that's all taken into consideration, all right, as we develop this. Right now, again, this is strictly to get the land deal done. Anybody else? Going once? Up?
What is the specific classification that we're requesting from the county at this stage? Is it a planned development or?
So the specific request is to rezone this from commercial to residential. There is a planned PUD as part of that process, so we have to tell them essentially what it is that we're doing. In other words, we can't just say, hey, we're going to residential, because they could approve, you know, a 15-story residential tower. So we have to tell them what it is that we're intending to do. So in this case, we've presented a single-story, you know, residential villa presentation to them that we would then, at this process, be getting approved. And then from there, we go into more details with the site plan that would indicate what exactly that, you know, that might look like.
And that's after the purchase?
That's after the purchase, yeah. So before we can do a purchase, we have to make sure that we can rezone this to residential. So it's really just a small steps, but we're trying to give as little information, you know, to them, because we don't know. We have to go through an entire process of planning to make sure that we do it. So what I'm showing and what the civil engineers are showing is kind of what this could look like. And what it brought up was some really interesting things that I didn't expect for the county, because they saw it as a decrease in traffic. They saw it as a better accessibility for Mercy vehicles. And then something I totally did not expect at all is an opportunity for, they mentioned rain gardens. And you probably saw that up here on this screen here, because we're using that as an opportunity to handle what, you know, the stormwater drainage. They like the use of using environmental features, you know, in order to slow water, to keep it from entering the system that overburdens their system. And right now, that asphalt parking lot is overburdening the system. So they were welcoming what we were doing, and they said, well, what would this look like? And I said, well, if you could work with us in creating, you know, trails and you know, walking patterns and things, and we could deal with that way, would you be, you know, inclined to, you know, agree with us? And they said, we want you to